And I think people just honestly don't know how to approach someone when they're struggling. I think that's the other thing, right? Is people are uneducated.
We probably only approach it on how we used to approach it.
Correct. Yeah.
In conflict.
In conflict. But also because maybe they were never taught as a child. Maybe they only had a house that screamed. Maybe they were never taught to communicate. Maybe communication was done through violence. And that's no fault of the person. But as you get older, we have too much access to information to keep acting like a shitty human being. Hi, I'm Kelsi Sheren. I'm the CEO of Brass and Unity and the host of the Brass and Unity podcast. Today on Everforward Radio, we talked about everything from psychedelics, accountability, to healing, not only for yourself, but for others. So make sure that you try every single day to be a better person, and you will do amazing things.
3, 2, 1.
Social media, woke fuckboys, trending mental health bandwagon, kind of what we were just diving into a little bit. But Kelsi, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
And you're like my favorite type of people. It's
loud?
Yeah, well, you have a voice, so use it.
Yeah.
For a lot of different ways. But we were just talking about what we see that we like in the world of mental health awareness, particularly for veteran communities, and where we see really needing to tread lightly. And I was sharing with you that I had this opportunity come down my line and really to I guess I can say, to represent this community in a very big way, in a very big national way. And I'm all for the advocacy of veterans, people, but particularly veterans, having mental health conversations and getting the help they need. But straddling that line of not being a woke fuckboy and not just capitalizing on something, I would never do that, but it's hard in the perception of that to not come off that way sometimes. It's just the way that certain things go, especially with social media.
Yeah, it's there's a lot to that. I mean, I'm not an expert in any of these things. So, but what I can tell you is what I'm trying to do in the community, what I'm trying to help people with, what I'm trying to educate people on is all comes from personal experience. I won't ever
You're an expert in being you.
I try to be me, and I try to be very vulnerable about that. And I also try to tell people where I've made the mistakes and where I would stay away from, only because it's how it affected me. But I would never advocate for something if I haven't tried it, if I haven't experienced it, if I haven't looked into it enough where I feel safe to advocate on behalf of it. I just won't do it for money. I won't. That's why if you look at the Brass and Unity podcast, we have a handful of sponsors that I advocate for heavily because I believe in the ethos. I believe in the people themselves behind it. But I'm not going to be the person who's hawking 27 different products just because it gets me money. I would rather grow super organically, super slow, and have people go, oh, you know what? She's authentic because she stuck to her guns on things. When you're looking at the partnership or the opportunity that you're speaking of, how deep do you want to go? Like, what can you say about it? So then we can have that kind of conversation.
Yeah, great approach. Thank you. And actually, it really... to, I guess, maybe kind of talk about like the entrepreneurial angle, how when, people like ourselves and viewers and listeners, you have a platform and you begin to really use it for the meaning that you started out for, but also like, hey, maybe it can be something else. Maybe it can be monetized. Maybe it could be a great opportunity driver. And they asked me this question, and I was very proud of myself for kind of catching and shifting the narrative of this, because it was like, hey, how can we partner together? And they asked me, what's your mission in this? And I'm assuming here that they were asking me my mission in the partnership. How do you work together with brands? What do you do? And I completely just shifted, and I told them my mission, like me as like Chase Tuning.
What are you trying to drive forward? Yeah.
And then I let that kind of lead after that. And I think that for the first time, maybe it's just because the sensitivity of the subject matter, we're talking about veterans, we're talking about mental health, we're talking about representing that. And I felt like it deserved a lot of like delicacy. But it made me really think about how like I should be approaching this with every conversation I have about any and every opportunity, especially if it's a monetized opportunity, because like that is going to serve both people in the long run. I think the brand and the person, to your point of not selling out, of not having a million one different this and that, but it reminded me of how important this is to shift the entire narrative of a potential opportunity.
And I think the opportunity that you're talking about is a huge one. And I think it's going in the right direction. Here's the thing. I think what they're trying to do, they have the right intent, but they're not looking at the other side of it and the dangers that could be accompanied with that, but also the liability that could be accompanied with that.
And let's open up a little bit more.
Go for it.
To kind of help you. I appreciate your
I know how to dance.
Awareness. So I've talked about it on the show. I've gone through ketamine-assisted psychotherapy.
Correct.
I talk about it very publicly. I talk about my use of psychedelics and me going back to mental health and just me having new therapies and modalities in my wellness and my mental health particularly. And this organization is one that provides those services at home through telehealth, basically.
Correct.
And while I do want to advocate for people, just having this on your radar of, wow, I don't have a mental health priority. I don't have a mental health routine. When's the last time I went and saw a therapist or even talked to my doctor about what's going on in my head and my heart? So I like that. I like how it brings access to a lot of people in terms of cost, in terms of location. But the experience is very, very unique, profound, potentially dangerous.
Yes.
If you don't have the right setting, people, screening. And to this organization's credit, I had them walk me through like all of that, walk me through all their screening, like everything. And it was more than I was expecting, and I was glad to hear that. But what happens when you have someone undergoing a modality at home that is cracking open memories, traumas in a way that most likely you've never, ever experienced and your brain can't fathom? What happens when that happens? And maybe it's a trigger and you go back to that trauma. Maybe you become unsafe to yourself or your sitter, or maybe you have a weapon in the house. Is this type of healing at home possible, do you think? Is there a way to go about this safely to bring healing to the masses in a unique way like this?
I mean, I'd have to really sit down and think very
It's a tough question.
really, really deep about that. Because I would like to think that it's no different. Like, okay, let's take psilocybin, for example. People have access to it. I'm public about it. I microdose weekly. I'm on the Monday, Tuesday on.
Today's microdose for me.
Yeah. Monday, Tuesday on, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday. I do ayahuasca. I sit with Aya. People are very aware of it. I use cannabis. I've been a cannabis activist since before I was pregnant. When I was getting off of pharmaceutical medication, I fully use CBD and micro amounts of THC while pregnant to handle the actual stress, because now we understand that when a child is being developed in the womb, the less stress it's under, the better the brain can develop. And so those correlate. That being said, when you're talking about accessibility, a lot of people don't have access to these types of healing modalities, whether it's education, whether it's they grew up in a family where it was like, the whole, what's that conversation with cannabis where it's like, the devil's lettuce.
Oh, you mean, yeah. Upbringing.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody in the South, probably.
Yeah, but alcohol was okay.
Yeah.
But alcohol was okay, but that wasn't. So, you're looking at a whole different range of issues when you're talking about a large scale society, tapping into healing modalities they may have no research, no knowledge, or no education on, which is, listen, that's fine. You want to do you do you. But there becomes a responsibility. And the responsibility lies with not only the company, but individuals that are going to support and uplift that company. I've had this conversation recently with several individuals about influencers and people of influence in our community and outside of our community. And when one person says something, if they're big enough, they attach everything to it. And it could be a complete lie. And people do it all the time. It's happened to me. It's happened to me publicly.
Yeah.
And I I'd sit there and I'll never deviate from whom I am. So I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. Because I know at the end of the day, I know what I promote and why I promote. And I also know that as long as you know yourself, I can be comfortable saying all of these things, because I will go back to saying, I said that, or maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I'll take ownership. So when you're looking at promoting something like this, and you're looking at really giving people education through social platforms, I'm really quite concerned about this at-home type of treatment.
And to be specific, we're talking about at-home ketamine-assisted psychotherapy.
Okay. That's the topic. Yeah. So if you're looking at that, so like I said, people have access to cannabis. They go and they do large doses on their own. They do that. People have psilocybin. They go do hero doses on their own. Like, people are going to do whatever they're going to do. They're going to get their hands on it. Yeah, we do it too. We go to the woods and Whistler and we sit there and talk to the trees, because that's sometimes what's necessary.
Joshua Tree.
But things like ketamine, things like 5-MeO-DMT, things like even heavy doses of psilocybin, things like ayahuasca, I am a real big believer, set and setting, and also not just sitters, guide. People who understand that when you are screaming at the top of your lungs and you're going through something and you're so in something, I know that I would have never been able to go through any of the treatments I've had without those people there, either blowing smoke on my face, holding my puke bucket, or just saying, you're safe. I've been with vets during ketamine therapies. I've heard experiences of the time I wasn't there to the difference to the time I sat there and held that person's hand. And the entire time while they were in it, when they looked in my face, I just kept saying, you are safe, you are safe, you are safe. And when that person came out of it, they said to me, I will never ever do this again if you're not sitting beside me. But it's not me. It's a person that can help guide through that really difficult, and you can see when it's happening, right? So I do see an issue with this, whether it is because it's new and I haven't seen how it's going to be flushed out. But I think when you give people access to something that can, if they are on SSRIs, if they are on other medications, and say they don't tell the person, they're not honest about it, they already have issues that they're borderline bipolar, they don't know it, that they have schizophrenia in the family, they don't know it. You are now setting yourself up for a liability. And if somebody, God forbid, whoever forbid, whatever you believe in forbid, something happens and they get access to a weapon, because it could be just a kitchen knife.
It could be a pen. It could be a pen.
It could be a baseball bat. It could be anything.
Whatever, yeah.
And they go and do something horrific. That company, they're at the liability there. They're gonna have issues. There's inevitably something will happen. And it's no fault of yours or whomever who supports them or whomever is doing it. But we are at a state right now with society's mental health where it is the most fragile I believe it has been in a very long time. And when you handle it and just give access to everything, it's a matter of time, man, before somebody does it and it's not going to go well. I would like to think optimistically, because I genuinely err on the side of optimism for most things. I really do.
Same, yeah.
I know you do. And I love your show. I follow you. Yeah, hope. And really driving forward, because I think your message not only resonates, but it's so necessary. That's why I had you on. It's your story matters. The way you talk matters. And you talk with integrity. And so people value what you have to say. So keeping that in mind, when something like this comes to you for an opportunity, I'm glad you put the brakes on for a second to really sit and look at this, because as much as it might be great, it gives everybody access, which is ultimately the goal, access to healing. I don't know that this is the right way. I'm scared. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm nervous about that, because people can get into that K-hole and sometimes they can't get out of it. And what do you do if you can't get out of it? Who do you call? You may not call anyone. You may harm yourself. You may harm someone else. And you may be doing it when you're out of your mind.
You literally don't know what to do because you've literally never experienced something like this. Your brain, it's ineffable.
And you don't know how you're going to respond.
Right, yeah.
And that's the other thing. If you don't know how you're going to respond, there's an issue there.
So much to unpack in there.
Yeah.
I want to bring it back. A couple things. I think you drove home a really unique, important point that maybe a lot of us don't realize happens when we're dealing with mental health, but especially in the veteran community. Maybe I'm speaking for myself or my personal experience, but when it comes time to actually say the medications that I'm on, have been on, family history, personal history, mental health, physical history, all these things, I've been through experiences with healthcare providers, active duty and in the VA system, where I just don't really feel safe for whatever reason. I don't know. I get some kind of red flags like, don't share this about this. But then also my active duty time was, if you say certain things,
it's over.
Yeah. Potentially, but that was a very real potential. Goodbye promotion, goodbye this opportunity, that opportunity, just, whatever the rumor mill is going to run. How can, in your opinion, veterans, if the goal here, the mission is become more aware of your mental health, take necessary steps to make that a priority and to get the treatment you need and deserve, how can we actually push past that fear of not sharing things because we think they're going to hurt us, or maybe we've been burned in the past, to know that it's safe and that we're in a healing process?
I think it's going to take time. I think the military is trying. I think, again, erring on the side of optimism. I think they're trying. They're trying a lot of things, though. They're trying to accommodate for a lot of people. They're trying to put people in positions that maybe they have no reason to be in. They're really trying here to get that woke train to move in there for the military. And that's fine. You know what? Great. More inclusivity, do it. But at what point is it a detriment? So when you pull that back and you look at things like going to your superior officers and saying, look, this happened to me, or I'm struggling with X or Y. You've seen what happens all the way up to recent years when a woman comes forward and says, I've been assaulted. Yeah, good luck being promoted. So they say, no, it's a safe space to talk about it. You feel it's not. For example, when I was overseas and they started seeing symptoms, really big symptoms in me pretty quick after that operation, I was very hesitant to tell them what I was going through.
Symptoms of, would you mind sharing?
Yeah, I got medically released from the military due to post-traumatic stress disorder. So from operations. So that's just, I've had that where it's like, they tell you you're safe, but you're not. You're now a liability. And so in my opinion, I always say, reach out to people who are outside the system first. Consult with them on
outside the system, meaning civilians?
Civilians. Yeah. So if you're in the military and you're starting to have symptoms, obviously, or what I would like to think is that your superior officers are going to be paying a little bit of attention. They're going to see some behavioral changes. Most of the time, that's true. But having the conversation with somebody outside the system first to see, I think is a safe spot because they have no reason to go to them. As long as you're not threatening your own life or someone else's, then, that's different. But if you're like, hey, I'm struggling with nightmares. For some reason, I just get really triggered when I hear something and I just don't feel right about it. I'm feeling a little uneasy. I personally recommend to go to a civilian first.
And it's a totally separate medical record as well. Yeah, which be aware of.
But that's it. And so I always say go there. If that's not an option, then you have no choice but to run this up the pole. And I get that. But you can also walk into your medic's office without going to your superiors and say, I'm not feeling so hot. Can we talk about these things? And then a different conversation can be had. I would like I said, I would like to think that people are getting better and progressing. And I think they are for the most part. They really are. But you're always going to have the old boys. You're always going to have it no matter what. When I walked into my artillery unit, there was a real old dude who was like, tabarnak. She's running a gun. But seriously, but then you had the guys who were still old boys, but understand adapt or die. So the mentality changes. That being said, I know how it was handled when I was in, and that was in 2009. It's been a long time. I would like to think they've gotten better, but I'm also very well in touch with the individuals I served with in the Canadian military. And I do know for a fact that there were people that there was an issue. They did report it. He was the golden child of the regiment and nothing happened to him. So I'd say go to your superiors. You still have to be aware there's a chance it will affect your career. I just believe that.
I that was actually a really good point. I didn't think about first, or at least a good amount of the time, go to a civilian side of things. Because I think that we worry about that, especially if you're in for your first term or you're going to be career. Like we know the importance, and we know how we stay connected to everything we do. I mean, everything at the end gets, at least in the American forces, gets consolidated down to your DD-214. Like literally one sheet of paper that will identify you, mark you, label you, help you succeed or fail, really, when you step out of those gates again. But for me, that kind of brings up another aspect I wanted to unpack, and that's the integration. And I think what we're talking about there could be looked at as a form of integration, because it's the work before the work. It's the aspect of awareness we need to have of just, I keep saying prioritizing this, but just, you know, we go to sick call because we get shin splints or stress fracture or whatever, but, you know, how can we have this level of awareness to go to, like, I'm feeling just inexplicably down and weird. Can I go to like mental health sick call? For me, that's integration. It's like the work before the work. And then should you choose to go into some kind of deep intensive therapy or psychedelic modality, people like what you're talking about, sitters, guides, and then after, someone to pour this out to, a trusted resource, a confidant, a therapist. These are all the integration components that I'm talking about here, just for the listener. How do you define integration? How important is it, do you think? And is that really going to be kind of the saving grace for people to have a positive experience with this and not get burned again in another form of their healthcare?
You know, I think one of the greatest things that has come out of the psychedelic movement and the Afghan war for us is certain individuals have really taken this seriously and realized that the VA is not going to solve this problem for us, that we have to solve it from within the community. So you have people like Heroic Hearts Project with Jesse Gould. You've got Vet Solutions with Marcus Capone and Amber Capone. SEAL Team 6 Door Breacher, just a massive, huge human. When I hug him, I look like a small pocket person. It's real sad. But you've got people doing, you've got some people, you've got, who's down in Texas, I believe, I'll find out the name and let you know, a man by Johnny that goes and does that. It's things like that from different healing modalities. But you have got people within the community that are having active duty individuals come up to them and say, I can't go to a doctor. I can't, I'm too high up. I'm a first sergeant. I'm a this, I'm a that. And they go to these people and they say, look, this is what the deal is. This is where I'm struggling. And then they go, we either think we can help you or we can't. The next step then is to go, in my opinion, outside of the chain to get some support. If you're really concerned, I think integrating mental health treatments and healing modalities is going to ultimately have to be on you. No one is going to come and save you, and no one is going to do it for you. And we have to take responsibility for our own healing. And sometimes we're not in the position to realize that. We're still at the beginning stages, and that's okay. Yeah. Often it's the people around you that'll start to notice it, and they'll bring it up to you. So when it comes to starting the process, you know, like I said, go up the chain if you have to, go to a civilian if necessary. Be very conscious of, you know, what your job is. I've had F-18 pilots who got grounded because they said, hey, just not feeling so hot here with my brain, and they're grounded, and then they never fly again. So you really do have to watch where you go, and that's okay. But there are so many resources now in the veteran community that you can call and reach out to that are not within the system that can really, really, truly help advise you. Wow. Yeah. And so that would be my first. And then once you kind of realize, or you have that conversation, you see, hey, I'm going through this, then we can start going, okay, well, maybe psychedelics aren't the thing for you. Maybe we really do need to look at a pharmaceutical intervention. Sure, yeah. And that's fine. I was on 10 different pharmaceutical drugs for 10 years. Not by choice, just did what my doctor said, got to a point and I said, this just isn't working. I can't live like this. I can't have a baby like this. I can't function like this. This isn't a reality. And then what I realized is a lot of times people just stay on the meds, and they just keep going, but they never really stop and reassess where they're at, or do a good scan of the body and wake up in the morning and go, okay, I'm groggy every day. Do I like being groggy every day? Well, maybe let's look at this. Maybe let's see, hey, have I integrated enough physical fitness, 4 times more effective than an antidepressant? Have I stopped eating bullshit and now I'm drinking water all the time? Like maybe I have this conversation with my doctor where I don't need this medication anymore, and you reassess. The problem is our vets get put on all these meds, and there's never really a huge reassess point. I mean, if there were, most people wouldn't be on as many of they have been on for the duration that they have. Whether, again, that's a failure of the system, lack of responsibility, or lack of understanding of how their bodies work and how they should be feeling. Again, I've had one of the pilots I had on, he said, I was on these meds and I kept going and saying, I don't feel right. I'm feeling worse. And they said, no, try this one with it then. I tried this one with it because I don't want to take these anymore, man. This isn't working. So
that was me for like 6 months on narcotics, and how they finally listened to me. What really got them to listen was literally one day, they induced a seizure. Knocked myself unconscious, gave myself a traumatic brain injury.
Fantastic.
And they're like, okay, let's switch up your medication.
Yeah, completely preventable.
So, thanks.
Completely.
5 months of narcotics,
Completely preventable. The problem is we do a real poor job. And by we, I mean our governments do a real poor job of allowing pharmaceutical companies to come in and over-medicate and over-prescribe. They've done that with every injury from like the beginning of like the existence. And they've done that especially over the past 20-year war, because they didn't know how to handle this. They didn't understand traumatic brain injury. They didn't understand PTSD, PTS. They didn't understand
long-term effects.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Because if they did, we would have figured out World War II and Vietnam and Korea and all these other amazing veterans who drank themselves into stupors because the stuff they were doing was just not working. Yeah. So integration really does have to be looked at in a very careful way. That being said, once you figure out kind of what you think is going on, there are tons of resources out of the military that will answer and help you. And they are serious about what they do, and they do not mess around. If somebody's struggling, they're on top of it. And they take accountability. And it's like I've said to them, like, it's nice to see that it's going to take people within the community. That's fine. But at least we have people within the community that want to take responsibility and ownership because they don't want their friends to continue to die. We now are starting to understand that PTS and TBI show very similar symptoms. And I've heard this conversation several times with Defenders of Freedom, which is down in Texas. They deal with TBIs. They put people through treatments down in Coppell, Texas with the Resiliency Brain Center with Doc G. I know there's Wave Neuro. I know there's a lot of different places that are.
Love Wave Neuro.
Yeah. I'm really excited because it looks like I'm going to be hopefully talking to them soon.
Dr. Eric Wan and the former Navy SEAL commander.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart.
It's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
But that's my point is like, there are people working on this. Doc G in Texas, I went through the treatment with them through Defenders of Freedom. And I've had this conversation and they're like, it is insane. We have had vets come in. I think the top out vet, they've had 37 meds. What? At no point should a human being be on 37 medications. He came in a wheelchair.
Jesus.
He couldn't walk. So my point is, we need to start looking, and the community is starting to look at mental health in a serious way that is no longer going pharmaceutical based. Don't get me wrong. There is a time for pharmaceutical intervention, but it's not every time, but it's being used every time.
It shouldn't be the first line of defense.
No.
The first line of anything, really.
No, absolutely. And
not all the time.
No. And the other thing is like I said, it comes down to personal responsibility, and the integration is the thing that isn't being really discussed, because everybody wants to jump on the psychedelic train of healing and how do I promote it and what's the next favorite thing? Like, shut up. You're doing it wrong and you're being dangerous, because nobody wants to say, no, seriously.
No, I laugh. I'm just thinking of so many examples.
Exactly. Yeah. This isn't me just being like jaded. Exactly, this is the reality. But nobody wants to sit down and say, look, some psychedelics can be real dangerous for individuals. Some people don't tell them the truth about the medications they're on. SSRIs, if you go into an ayahuasca ceremony, can cause serotonin reuptake syndrome, which can crack someone's brain, and you're not coming back from that. And so when you start diving into putting a substance into your body, it's okay to talk about the other side of it. It's not going to harm it. It's going to give legitimacy to the fact that these are real, strong, useful healing modalities that need to be looked at in a serious manner. And they are not a cure-all. They are the catalyst point that allow you to heal. They are the tool. The work begins after the ceremonies happen.
They help open the door in so many ways.
Yes.
But how you walk through, should you choose to walk through, and what awaits on the other side of that is totally up to you.
And the people that I've worked with and I've participated with, and I have no issue talking about Vet Solutions and Heroic Hearts. I've been through the program with Heroic Hearts personally. I've seen their integration. I've seen the integration coaches you get afterwards. I've seen the work that happens afterwards, the community that builds from that. And these guys are at the forefront for a reason. Both of these two are taking it by storm. They're changing laws. They are changing the way people look at healing. When you have an Army Ranger and a decorated SEAL come in and say, look, they're freight trains. I was struggling with this, and this. People are going to respect them for that, because at no point did you ever expect to see one of these guys come out and say, I'm having nightmares. I am not feeling well. I'm not doing well. That does not happen. But now it's happening, and it's almost giving permission to all these other guys that are like, oh, I'm a big bro in the community and I'm like this. Like, nah, like don't go out there and preach leadership and mental health and accountability. And then on the other hand, talk out of your mouth like you have an understanding of people's serious trauma, because some of you don't.
So important.
You have to have a responsibility. And so when you're talking to individuals like Jesse or Marcus and Amber, they're serious about this. You need to do the work after. This isn't a cure-all. They don't
do the work before.
The dieta, you need to be eating properly before. And one of the things you see is you've got so many people coming into these, and you ask them their diet, and oh my God, I don't know if it can't just be an American thing, but my God, it's got to be close. But the type of food, the amount of sodas. So just a tangent for a moment. With Brass and Unity, we have Mental Health Monday, okay? We do it every Monday. We go live, we talk to people, and we've created a community called the BNU Army. It's on Signal, obviously. Yeah. People all over the world that go and talk. There's people in there who they drink 9 to 12 sodas a day. But that's been their whole life, because they either haven't known any different, they've never understood how to eat properly. They were never taught to eat properly. They weren't taught about physical fitness. They just weren't taught. And so, for no fault of their own, they've been fed this stuff their whole lives. They've dealt with a lot of dysregulation, emotional issues. And then if you couple that with somebody who's hit their head, or you couple that with somebody who's been through serious trauma, now you're looking at frontal lobe issues, dysregulation in terms of your temperature, your mood, your sleep, and you're wondering why you feel like a bag of shit. Half the time, it's what we physically put into our bodies that's going to make the difference. But people don't look at diet and exercise the way that they should. It can cure a lot. Mm-hmm. That can be the start point. And that's often where we start and say, it's very simple. When I'm like a broken record on the lives. It's very simple. I don't care if you had to just get up. If you only got up that day and you walked to the fridge one time, tomorrow I want you to get up and I want you to walk to the bathroom 2 times. Then the next day I want you to get up and I want you to walk to your front door. Then I want you to get outside and I want you to walk a quarter of a kilometer or mile.
Thanks. Us Americans.
Us Americans, yeah. But my point is, small steps. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to help people when they're at the point of like, come do my fitness things, come do this, come do that. Most people right now, especially, are struggling just to get out of bed and brush their teeth. Mm-hmm. I was that vet. But that's a gap we're trying to fill. We're trying to get you to be able to just walk. Just move your damn.
Where you are. Like how much of a foreign concept is that?
It is, though, because Instagram and social media has made people believe that they start out at a certain point. Mm-hmm. And we've done a really bad job of not saying it's okay to just have a hard day, but get out of bed and make your bed that day. And that could be the biggest accomplishment for you. That was mine when I first started. Days I didn't brush my teeth or get out of bed, because I couldn't. But then there was days that I could, and then I would push it a little further, and you build on those things. So taking it back, integration and things like this, they can take time. They have to be met with where you're at. You have to be willing to do the work, and it is so much work. And anybody who tells you it isn't is lying to your face. It's not an easy journey.
And it never ends.
And it never, ever ends. But In my opinion, you're worth it and you deserve it. So why not try? What's the worst that's going to happen if you try? You might sweat. Oh, shit. Oh, you better watch out.
Might get uncomfortable.
Oh, you might get uncomfortable, but that's what happens. We get comfortable in these spaces. We get super comfortable in these spaces. And when people get comfortable, it is the death of all creativity and innovation. It is the death of progression. It is the death of healing. Get uncomfortable. When you learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, you are going to thrive in ways that you did not know were possible.
Mic drop right there. First of all, you're incredible.
Thanks. I'm okay.
Thank you. And just as I was listening to you talk and drive home these points, I was reminding myself that this is more than just points and facts and information. It's you sharing very openly and candidly your experience and your journey. And that for me has been the best, the most like well-received, and honestly the most frequent and unique type of feedback I've ever gotten on my platforms from internet people, real life people.
Internet people, as if
like,
they're like
they're just like little blockchain,
they're little,
little digits. But like, it's so much more than that. And I'm trying to say here is like, you're sharing your story, your experience. I'm sharing my story, my experience. I personally really try to drive home. This is not like, even when I was really like health and fitness chase, you know, I was a clinical health coach and just, I never, ever, ever promoted or latched on and said, this is the diet. This is the workout. The same thing I am doing now is like, this is the healing modality. All I'm trying to do is just share my human experience of the ups and the downs, what is great, what is not, and what works for me, because that I think is what we need to do most is commit to the work, commit to ourselves for ourselves, but especially for other people suffering with mental health, significant issues, or even just not prioritizing it. And again, the veteran community, like you need to be your own champion because we need other champions to do this kind of work. We need people to just speak up. And it's hard to speak up when maybe you're not on the other side of it. Like it's harder to speak up, I think, when I'm really suffering.
Absolutely.
Versus, guys, I fucking killed it. This is great. Like, here's the good news. How do you have a process? Do you have a thought process about this is how I'm going to share this kind of information in hopes of me continuing to heal, but also being the champion for somebody that I don't even know maybe exists that is going to need to hear this information the most today?
I don't think that sounds really bad. I don't have a path or a plan. I go with what I feel, but I go with what I've experienced. And I don't look at it as in like, oh, I went through this and now I'm going to talk about it in this way. And I'm going to make sure I advocate in this way. I probably should, but I don't. It's not that I don't think it through, but I'm that person who is, I word vomit the truth.
You're present. Like you're not attaching to an outcome. You're just, here's who I am. Here's what I'm thinking, feeling.
Yeah, sorry if you don't like it, move on.
Yeah.
Turn the channel off. I don't care. The thing is I didn't set out to do this. I don't think any of us set out to do any of what we're doing. At least for I'm speaking for people who are podcasting or are vets, or like, I really did think I had a full-time career in the Army, and I was fine with that. And I loved that. And I think
I enlisted in like my plan was 20 years.
Yeah. So that's not, we're going to be podcasters now. Like it's not, sorry, that's not real bad, but so then my head.
Probably me at 17 was like, I'm going
to be like a podcaster. I'm going to like see how it goes. No, I didn't plan it. So for me, it's always been very simple. I still struggle a lot. But I show the struggle. I talk about the struggle. I believe I've crossed a barrier point, of course. Don't get me wrong, 100%. But that really didn't happen for me until just under 2 years ago when I started using psychedelics. I had hit my
same timeline, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I hit a plateau point. And I remember saying to my treatment doctor, like, listen, Doc Passy, like this, it's not getting better. Like, it's not getting better, man. And mommy was having more hard days crying on the stairs than she probably should be. And That's a hard one for me because thankfully my son is young enough that I'm hopeful he won't remember all of mommy crying on the stairs or mommy not being able to get out of bed or mommy being more angry than she should. And those are things I'll always look back on and God, I wish I would have done better. But at the end of the day, I was struggling, and we're pretty open with my son about that, where we say, look, mommy's having a hard day. Mommy's heart feels a little heavy. But because we've done that with him, he communicates about his emotions like it's going out of style.
I was just going to say, I wonder if he's reciprocating.
Incredibly reciprocating. It's beautiful.
Wow.
So when I started using psychedelics, that's when the shift changed. Perceptions changed, realities changed. Like my friend Griff says, you can't unsee. Mm-hmm. You just can't unsee it now. So now it's the response. What do you do with that?
There's
right?
No going back.
No, there's not.
There's no unknown.
No, there's not. Yeah. And sometimes I wish there was, but there isn't. And so for me, I don't plan it out. I probably should. I talk from the heart, and I'm hopeful and optimistic that people see that all that I am trying to do is give people access to information so that they can hopefully then take it on their own and run with it. That being said, once I hit that point of like, okay, I feel like I can advocate for something because it really has made the change for me. It took a long time because people are like, don't be the veteran on the soapbox talking about psychedelics and ayahuasca. But I will be because it saved my life. Mm-hmm. It's one of the major things that really was a turning point for me. So I never tried. It's not what I thought I would end up doing. I'm not out here saying, do this, it's going to work. Do that, it's going to work. I'm pretty damn open that it doesn't work for some things. It doesn't work for some people. But moving forward, what I'm trying to do isn't be a doctor or a scientist or do any of this. I'm a person with a microphone that says, hey, today really sucked. You know why it sucked? Let me tell you why it sucked. And you know why I think it sucked is because maybe I was on social media too much. Maybe I caught something I shouldn't have. This affected me because of this. And I'm able now to step outside of it and say, I was affected because of X. And then it turned into Y, and now I have this result. So then how do I go back and go, okay, maybe that isn't good for me. I can see that maybe that triggers me or makes me feel some type of way. Maybe we cut that down a little bit. Maybe we just cut that down a little bit. And then I get on the mic and I'm like, hey, so I saw this story one day and I didn't think it would bother me. And then I had a nightmare that night. And it was one that was so aggressive and so intense. I haven't had something like that. So now I know that's not for me. I need a break from that, but I'm honest about it. And it's not a linear journey too. And I think that's what people kind of forget is there's this idea where mental health and healing is this like, oh my God, I feel so great today. And tomorrow's going to be amazing next day. And then I love the next day. It doesn't work that way.
It's not always a step up, a step up, a step up. It's up, down, 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 up, not up or not down. This reminds me of this. So I'm derailing myself. This Crystalia.
I love Crystalia so much.
It's like up, down, not up.
Yes.
Talk about like the roller coaster that is a healing journey.
Sidebar. So glad he's back.
Yeah.
God, I love him so much. I'm gonna tangent for a second. I think you know this. One of my favorite things, skit I think he ever does. I don't remember it, but he basically does when he does the Russians and he's like, listen, I'm a Russian. It's chin down for fuck you, because fuck you, but chin down for friends and family only, but for fuck you. And I love that clip so much. And I do it to my husband. He's insane, but his whole body, his mimicry on the stage, I feel a bond with him from afar because I never know what to do with my hands. I'm over up here, but I'm like, if I could only be a comedian, I feel like I could lunge and people would accept my weird mannerisms. But my point is it's not linear. Mm-hmm. It's not always going to be that way. And I'll be honest, I'm in that right now. I'm in one of those points where everything looks like amazing on the outside, but I'm struggling with some stuff right now, man. I'm struggling with some real stuff right now, some serious stuff.
All right, well, let me pause you right there and ask, why does it look amazing on the outside? Is that a conscious choice? And like, okay, I have enough awareness and mental emotional strength right now to put forth not the front, but like to put forth this version of me that needs to be there for saving face, for being a mom, for being a business owner, for all these things. And I know like I'm kind of like in this delicate dance with myself and I can handle that. Mm-hmm. Or are you just kind of like, is it slipping into like old patterns, old habits of just like, I can't let the world see this version of me right now?
No, I've always let the world see the version. I don't care. They can see the bad, the good, the ugly. I've got no shame in who I am. I've got no shame in when I struggle. I'll sit there like, I don't care. I don't care because people were honest and open with me and it gave me permission or whatever you will to be like, I can be like that. And if people don't like it, change the channel. If you want somebody who's going to be out there and being like, oh my God, so today, like I went to like Starbucks and like my coffee wasn't hot enough. Like shut your mouth.
I saw that reel, I think.
Yeah, exactly. My point is I'm not going to go up and do stuff like that, but I'm only going to talk about it when it's like, listen, this is a real thing. I'll talk about it. It's not that I need to save face for social media or for my business. I've always been open about it with my business. I've always been open with social media. There is an aspect for my son that I do show him when I'm struggling, but he's also a child. And what's that one thing I learned from Dr. Phil when I was a child was you don't put adult problems on small human minds because they don't have the capacity to understand. And what he thinks of me, because he's 5, is mommy was an army man. Period.
Interesting.
That's all he knows.
Was he born when you were active?
Oh God, no. No. I got medically released in 2011. He was 2016.
Okay.
So my point is like, it's not for anybody else. It's not for social media. It's not for anything, but there's also, I do believe, and I think maybe I'm curious to see what you think of this, but there is an aspect though of people come to you for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
There is a delicate line with that. There's a line where you can be super vulnerable, but not everybody needs to know your deep, dark problems. Mm. So there is that balance. Do you ever feel any of those pressures with you and what you do?
In terms of, is someone going to come to me for this and I'm not going to be prepared to respond?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I will say, kind of like looking backwards with that question in mind now on some instances, I think I have had some people approach me, talk to me in person, DM, email about these things to where I am very cautious in making clear that I'm glad that you're hearing what I wanted to convey in terms of this was my pain point, this is my struggle, this is what I did, why, and how, and the effects that I'm having. But I never want it to be like, oh yeah, like you should just do it kind of thing. So I've definitely tried to like tread lightly with those, but in unique cases like me sharing a psychedelic experience or just hell, even like a breathwork class, like any just like really unique, uncommon modality to a lot of people. But this is where honestly, and this type of work, and particularly psychedelics have really helped me look back on my life and be very, very grateful for the experiences that I had that have made me more capable.
Right.
Here and now. What I mean by that, I mean, in a hero's dose, well, technically I've only worked up to like 4 grams, but almost there.
We'll get you
like
there.
In that experience, like Soldier Chase really brought me back many, many times.
Okay.
And like cracking open and like many, many instances I remember like literally like telling myself like, lock it up, like soldier, like literally like as if I'm my own drill sergeant talking to myself. That brought me back. My experience after the military and getting education, formal higher education, and becoming a health professional for many years has made me more capable to answer questions like this about, hey, let's learn a little bit more about your medical history. Hey, what's going on in your nutrition, all these things. And it's so cool now that I can look back and be grateful in a really unique way of everything that I was like, this served me, or like, I don't know why this was there. It has now made me more capable to answer such questions like this, and has also given me greater appreciation for the things that I'm there to work on through the trauma, through the PTSD, through the death, through the loss, through the friends committing suicide, all of these things that like the trauma and the things that I thought hurt me and the things that I was doing to better myself equally serve me and make me more capable now to express that and to hopefully connect to somebody else asking about it.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. That's the beautiful thing about getting to a certain point of healing. I almost feel like we do ourselves a disservice if we don't share how we got there.
Yeah.
I think others really do. for whatever reason, social media, we've done a number on our society with it, but it's also a tool that can be used for the good. And there has been plenty of times where I've had a hard day and I've just been scrolling and I found like but by chance something came up and it was like this saying or it was this thing and for whatever reason, it just hit at the right moment at the right time. So social media has a positive if it's used correctly. I really do believe we owe it to our community, whether it's the vets, the first responders, or whomever. People struggle with getting out of these things and they need to see that it's possible. They need to see it from 6'4" dudes. They need to see it from barely 5 foot people. They need to see it from men. They need to see it from women. They need to see it from everyone. They need to know that they can connect with something within their story or them that allows them to see that there's hope.
Because until you heal, other people don't know that it's possible.
Well, that's
until the brain can literally see the other side of the coin, the healing on the other side of the fence, whatever. Like, we don't know it's possible.
Right.
So
we don't know what we don't know.
You owe it to everybody else.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. And with platforms like that, I mean, now more than ever, we have access to information. So why wouldn't you be sharing the positives of it? Why wouldn't you be sharing the ups and downs of it? That could just help one person. If that helps one person, I'll walk through fire for that again, because I got no issue with trolls and online and all the blah, blah, blah that comes with trying to do this work. Because inevitably, if you're trying to do something big, nobody doing more than you will ever say something and put you down. Nobody. It's always the people that are doing less than you because they're either envious or they're like, their life is so easy, but they only see the end result. They never see the come up. They never see the sleepless nights. They never see we're going to lose everything, or they never see I have to sell this to keep this to pay whom. And they don't see that. They see the end result. And so if you're honest enough about your journey, it gives people almost the permission to go and try. And when they may never have given themselves the permission otherwise.
It just makes you think. Makes you think about, I'm just connecting so many dots as you explain this. Again, things that like I know, but just when you hear somebody else say it out loud again, it's just like, wow, like connect all the dots of people that have been that for me and the people that tell me I'm them, I'm that for them. And now they're going to be that for somebody else.
Correct.
It's wild. It's the kind of wildfire that I'm trying to spread.
Yeah, I'm addicted to progression, and I'm addicted to hard work, and I'm addicted to putting myself through hell for some reason. It makes me feel alive again. I feel like I'm doing the work I should be doing, even though it's difficult, even though it's hard, even though the government has made it nearly impossible for Canadians to keep business running, even though the laws have changed over censorship, even though we're banned, even though I'm loud, even though I'm aggressive, even though I'm in people's faces. I don't give a fuck if I upset you. If I have put my sights on you to either have you on the show, to either want to partner with you, to either want to help you, to get you moving, to get you walking, if I put you in my sights, you better run. Because I get every single one of you, to the point where it could be a guess to some of the guys. Perfect example. He'll have no issue with me talking about this. The BNU mental health. We started Mental Health Monday. Okay. We started it. We started getting some people on. And then I've had people from the very get-go from Australia. I have this individual every single day since we started it. I get a screenshot of how far he's walked. And now he's running. Now he's signed up for 5Ks, pictures of the beach every day. I will show you after this. He is consistent, but the progression, and here it is. It's not me doing it. I gave a group to have a safe conversation. And I don't mean like, let's talk about safe spaces. I mean, there's been times where a child has gone missing and been found dead. And we talk about it in this group because it's somebody's family member. We talk about real things. We talk about serious things, but we're there for each other. And if you talk shit even one time, you're gone. Bounce. I don't have time for negativity or people who are not going to help uplift others. So I'm fine. I'll go through hell. I'll take the whatever, because I know that I got one person who wasn't moving, who wasn't looking after themselves, to be walking 8 kilometers a day, every day, every single morning and feeling amazing. I got one, that's all I need. I just needed one. So I got one. And then we got another one. Then we got another one. Then we got another one. Now we have this group where there's people from everywhere in the world just being like, what's up? How are you doing in Italy? Well, we're getting forcibly vaccinated. What about you? Things are on lockdown. Our family member went missing. Well, we found her passed away. She's a child. We're having these conversations, but we're giving people a space to go, these things suck in life and it's really hard, but it's okay because tomorrow's going to be another day. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do the things I know that's going to help make my life better. Like that individual I said was on like 9 to 12 Cokes a day. Coca-Cola.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, right? You never know anymore. He's down to, I think, 3.
Wow.
But that is a win, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge win. That means that they're thinking about what they're putting into their body. And when they think about it, then their kids are going to think about it. And then their spouse is going to think about it. And then maybe their cousin's going to think about it. And their friend's going to think about it. And that shit spreads like wildfire when you come from a pure heart with intent, with love, and only want for people to be better, to heal, and to not suffer. The world is hard enough. Why do we think we need to keep imposing more on others? My favorite thing ever is when somebody of affluence or social media presence, who I believe has a real responsibility, gets onto somebody else's platform and talks shit in their comments. And I sit there and I go, God, that's gross. Does that feel good? Yeah. I had this with, I had Kid Carson on recently. And do you know about Kid Carson in Canada?
No.
He's a radio host that has been a radio host for...
I know of him.
Oh yeah, Kid.
I know if there's like something new.
He got publicly fired because in February when he was on the air, he was just questioning. He's like, guys, like, because Canada's not good about our rights right now. 10% of Canada can't leave the country unless if you're not vaccinated, you do not have the right to get on a bus, a train, or a plane within the country or leave. We're the only citizens in the world that cannot leave their country freely without papers. No one knows that, but we are. And we're also the only country in the world that is forcing 5-year-olds and above to be vaccinated or they cannot get an education. So he just said very, very quietly, I'm a little concerned about the digital ID and the vax passports because we have I have to show a QR code, right? Real concern. I'm just a little concerned. And I think this is something we need to be paying attention to. And they fired him on the spot. And so Kid came on recently, we were talking about it, and he had a situation happen where he posted, it was a story, and this was right when your Roe versus Wade popped off, the leak popped off, okay? Do whatever you want, I don't care. And he posts and he goes, it's nice to see my body, my choices back in fashion. And somebody that has a massive following and this perfect life and this like outward perfect life had the nerve to go on there and say, oh no, a man did not say that. And we talked about it on the episode and we got into who it was. We got into it all. And I said very simply, does that feel good? When you woke up in that morning and you said that, does it feel good? Did you put something positive out into the world? Is that something that you can be proud of? Is that something you can go to bed knowing I did something good today? Because I really believe just be 1% better than the day you were before and the world will be a better place. But when you go out and you actively try to defame someone, harm someone, come down on them, or just really be a shitty person because you're having a bad day, and then you have the nerve to take how you feel, because that's really all it is, right? Oh, yeah. It's that's how the person really feels about themselves. And you have the nerve to go out and do that. I think it's gross. And I think it's disgusting. And I think that person's gross. And I think you have a responsibility when you have a platform. And so when people go out and actively put negative energy or feelings or words into the world, those are the people that need to sit and look in the mirror and go, what about me is not healed? That I feel like I did the right thing by making that comment. Who did that help? Oh no, a man didn't. Please, every human being, I'm sorry, miss. I fought for your right, just like you did, for you to say that. So go ahead and say it. But I want you to know it makes you look like a real shitty human being. And that's okay too, as long as you can live with it. But I can't live with that. I couldn't live with that. I couldn't live with knowing that I said something that hurt somebody or started something unnecessarily. Words matter. And when people have affluence and influence and anything you want to on a platform and you act like that, you don't deserve a platform. You don't. You just don't. The world doesn't need to be harder than it is. Stop making it that way.
It's hard enough. It's hard enough for a myriad of reasons, but it's hard enough just for people to really take inventory of what really is hard, what actually is hard, what is perceived hard. How am I navigating it? Just, I mean, you get bombarded all the time with so much real shit, so much bullshit. Like that's, I know it can't be contributing to our ability to have a level of awareness that we need to all facets of our health, all facets of our being, but damn sure our mental and emotional state. Like there's just so much noise and grossness.
But if you're gonna have a platform, I just want people to understand, like if you're somebody out there who's got, like have millions of followers and you've got whatever amount of TikToks or whatever, there's people listening to that who base their life decisions around that, who base what they do on a daily basis around that, who base how they treat others around that. Wouldn't you want to be a voice for good? Wouldn't you want to be a voice of positivity and just movement forward to heal?
So.
Well, you would think, but then again, that's the other thing. You'll have to look at the other side of the coin, right? And go, what is that person struggling with? You have to meet them where they're at with empathy. Because I think so quick we are to be dismissive of people when they act like that. But then you got to pull it back and go, why do I think that person did that? What are they struggling with? And go, hey, you doing all right? I had a situation happen in a parking lot. I was on the phone with my social media girl, and we were on FaceTime, and I'd backed my car into something. And I have no idea what happened, but this lady got out of her car and pulled in front of me, and she just went nuts. She goes, just because you drive a fucking Tesla doesn't mean you own the roads. And I looked at Nikki and I said, what's happening? And she goes, I don't know. Are you okay? And I said, I don't know.
Did you hit her?
No.
Or something?
No. I still to this day don't know what happened, but it progressed so much so that I backed away and I just got back in my car or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. And then she pulls around behind me, gets out of my car and slams. And she goes, you're going to listen to me. I said, I got to call you back. I'm going to call the cops. So, and when you shut the door of a Tesla, it records.
Really?
Yeah. It's got Sentry mode. All the cameras start recording.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So what I did is
Elon's killing it, man.
Elon's. So she's doing this. So I just get on the phone with the cops because I'm not messing around. I'm not doing this. We're not having this. So at first I'm on the phone. She goes, what do you need? I said, police. She said, okay, it's transfer me. As she transferred me, I said, listen, miss. Because she was following me. So I just kept backing up and backing around the car, just avoiding a confrontation. And she goes,
you were outside the vehicle.
I got outside of the vehicle and I'm just kind of backing around it. And she's just losing it. And I said, are you okay? She was very put off. I said, do you need a hug? And she just looked at me. And I said, because the way you're acting right now, you're going through something. Are you okay? And she did not know what to do with that. And then she just kept coming at me. And so I knew at that point there was nothing I could say.
Well, I mean, think about what she was yelling at first. She was like, you're going to listen to me. Hello. So who in your life is not listening to you? And this is the giant, tip of the iceberg.
So when she heard I was on the phone with the RCMP, she stopped and she drove away and they got the plate and they said, do you want us to go talk to her? And I said, I don't want you to go get her in trouble. And he was like, I'm sorry. I said, I want you to go make sure she's okay.
A follow-up.
Just make sure.
A human being follow-up.
A human being, like, are you good? There's something going on that we need to know about that set you off that way, because that's not a normal reaction. That's a disproportionate reaction to somebody scaring you or going. So my point is we are all going through something, whether you see it or not. Whether you see it or not, we're all in something. And it can be all different types of levels. It's not that difficult just to be kind and meet people with empathy. Just try. It takes a little more effort. but that little bit of effort can really help somebody.
Yeah. And for me, that's one of my most favorite things about really prioritizing my mental and emotional health the last few years is the fact that I'm more on my path now, but it helps me have a higher sense of awareness to other people where they are on their path, to de-escalate situations like that, and to just like, that's the end goal. Like, I don't want a conflict. I don't want to fight. I don't want an argument. I don't want any of the bullshit. I just want to like be on my way and you to be on yours in a positive light.
Right.
It's like the whole other aspect of this work that is so cool. So you can have these experiences.
Yeah. And I think people just honestly don't know how to approach someone when they're struggling. I think that's the other thing, right? Is people are uneducated.
Probably only approach it on how we used to approach it.
Correct. Yeah.
In conflict.
In conflict. But also because maybe they were never taught as a child. Maybe they only had a house that screamed. Maybe they were never taught to communicate. Maybe communication was done through violence. And that's no fault of the person. But as you get older, we have too much access to information to keep acting like a shitty human being. And if you don't want to take responsibility, then don't put yourself in society. It's that simple. When you walk into a room, you have an energy about you, whether you realize it, whether you want to be like, I don't believe in that energy bullshit. Okay, cool. Don't. You do you. Science has it. That's cool. We can see it. You have a little force field around the body. And when it is anxiety and everyone else around you feels that, especially children. Especially children. And when parents are like, my child is acting up and I can't get them to listen. It's like, do you hear the way you're talking? Because I was like that. And then I went and did TBI treatment and turned my frontal lobe on again and started to be able to regulate and go, was it really a big deal that he didn't put his toys away? No. I'm teaching him responsibility for sure, but maybe he was just tired. Maybe he's having a day, and meet him where he is. And I got to tell you, it has changed the way my husband and myself and my son and I.
So beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the heart emits, I think, electromagnetic wave about 3 feet radiating from you. And so, I mean, like, you enter the room long before you actually enter the room.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, Kelsi, this has been so great. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for cracking open here and just sharing so much of what you're experiencing. And I appreciate your insight and everything that we were talking about and sharing.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to be here. I'm glad to help. And just on a side note, Brass and Unity, we are a jewelry and sunglass company and all of that. And we do help our veterans and first responders. We've got a code for you guys. It's EverForward35.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. But what I'm getting at is, even though that's what I do and we have the podcast and all those things, if you're struggling with something, reach out to us. We will help get you support.
To me, yeah.
Yeah, to you as well. DM us, email us at info@brassandunity. It doesn't matter. We will get you some help. If we can't get it for you, we'll guide you in the right directions. Because at the end of the day, what I do daily, what you do daily, is to better others' lives. So just reach out. There's no harm. There's no shame. There's no nothing. The only person you're hurting, you are bleeding on someone else when you don't deal with your own problems. And the people around you, they're the ones that have to suffer the consequences. So just try, reach out. What's the worst that could happen? Your life could just get easier.
Just try. It can be boiled all down to that in so many ways, which I want to ask my final question to move forward in life, to just try something one day, the next day, to move forward, ever forward. What does that mean to you? How do you interpret those 2 words?
It means that I wake up with a mission and a passion in mind. And it means that every minute of every second of every day, I am doing something to help someone else, because just as much as it's helping someone else, it's helping me. So as long as I am waking up, I'm putting out a positive message, positive energy, trying my best, and I'm 1% better than I was yesterday. That's what it means to move forward.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.